This video is concerned with Volume 2, Chapter 2 of Wuthering Heights, where the old Cathy dies and the young Catherine is born. Themes covered in the chapter include death, doomed love, conflict, extreme emotion, particularly from Heathcliff, and mourning. This chapter, I think, is caused by the Bronte family's frequent exposure to death, whether that be directly through the death of family members, or through the death of those who surrounded the family in the Haworth community. Disease was a common problem during the Victorian period, as a result of poor sanitation and poor living conditions, particularly in industrial towns like Haworth. Characters in the novel react differently to death, and perhaps represent the multitude of ways in which death was dealt with in Victorian England. Though not present in this chapter, Joseph puts emphasis on hell and damnation and sin, which is a possible parody of the evangelical attitudes prevalent in the Victorian period. Edgar is representative of conventional Victorian morality, seeing death as a reunion of souls after death. Nellie believes in a higher power, perhaps because of her social position. She constantly reminds us that it is not our place to judge or moralise or take revenge, as this is God's privilege. Catherine and Heathcliff, however, see heaven as being contained in the moors and within one another, hence their longing for death, so they can be together. Let's consider Heathcliff's reaction to Cathy's death for a moment then. Heathcliff's reaction is quite shocking to us, just as it would have been to a Victorian audience. He very clearly damns Catherine for leaving him. Before judging him, however, we need to consider his unstable mental state at this moment, and the sense of bitterness that he feels at her loss. Bronte clearly plays with our allegiances, for despite his evil diatribes against Nellie and Cathy, it's painfully clear that he loves Catherine. When Nellie first beholds Heathcliff, he is still, his hair gathering dew, suggesting that he's been stood for some time, catatonic and distraught. When Heathcliff finally acknowledges Nellie's presence, he is disparaging of her, speaking in simple and fragmentary sentences that are packed with strange emphatic stresses, the exclamation marks underscoring the bitter grief he experiences as a result of his loss. Towards the end of the chapter, when Cathy's body is left alone, he replaces the lock of hair belonging to Edgar that is left in his lover's locket with his own, as a symbol of his enduring love for her. Nellie, however, interferes once again, finally twisting the two locks together and enclosing them in her mistress's locket.
Created using Powtoon.